So it's been 1 week since Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell came under attack for not supporting reparations after it was revealed that his ancestors owned slaves more than 150 years ago. Primarily, that was in the form of a piece that was done by NBC. So now you've got 2020 candidate Beto O'Rourke getting out in front of the issue, saying that he looked at his ancestry and his genealogy, and he discovered that his great-great-great-grandfather owned 2 slaves in the 1800s, and it makes further case, he says, for reparations, writing in a post, quote, "I benefit from a system that my ancestors built to favor themselves at the expense of others. That only increases the urgency, I feel, to help change this country so that it works for those who have been locked out of or locked up in this system." Joining me now, Karl Rove, former Deputy Chief of Staff under President George W. Bush and Fox News contributor, and Elleithee, Executive Director of Georgetown University's Institute of Politics and Public Service. Gentlemen, great to have both of you with us. It seems like most of the sound bites, Elleithee, that we have and the tweets that we have from Beto O'Rourke are him apologizing for one thing or another. And now he's come out to say that he is glad that he can confirm this and that he wants to work to correct it. Is this politically a good move for him to try to get a little bit more traction out there?
Well, look, Beto O'Rourke's had a rough start to his campaign, and I think he's been looking for something to sort of make sure that he stays on everyone's radar screen. I don't have a problem with someone drawing on their own personal narrative to help illustrate why they support policies they support. For him to say, look, I feel a sense of that my family's history has compelled me more to fight for a more just society and greater opportunities for everybody. I think that's a fine thing to say. I don't know that I would go so far as to call for reparations, but I think that is fine. He's been struggling, and this is maybe a way. We're talking about him tonight, which we weren't doing last night.
Karl.
I think it trivializes the issue. I mean, do you feel only urgent about this because in the 1850s, 160 years ago, his forebears had 2 slaves? You either feel that we ought to make reparations for slavery because you feel it's necessary and a moral obligation, or not. Shouldn't be affected by what is in your background or not. Look, I can think of nothing or few issues other than this that could separate this country and once again divide us on the basis of race than reparations for slavery. What about people whose families came here to the United States after the Civil War? What about the free blacks? What about people who are poor and who are not black? I mean, there are so many ways that this issue will simply cause greater racial division in this country and divide us more deeply. And I don't think Robert Francis O'Rourke's approach to this helps at all.
I want to put up a tweet that he put out there, too, because it gets us to the next topic. These congresswomen know more about what it means to be American than Trump ever will. Grateful for their leadership, he tweeted after the appearance by the squad this afternoon. Mo, another piece coming out tonight says, this is exactly what President Trump wanted. So now he's got them out there. He wants to point the finger at radical Democrats. Now they are superstars again this afternoon. They represent a tiny part of the party. And now Nancy Pelosi's got another problem on her hands because they are all together calling for impeachment of the president.
Well, look, I mean, it was just a couple of days ago that Nancy Pelosi was at odds publicly with them, and now you've got a unified Democratic Party behind the president's tweet over the weekend. Look, I mean, Karl talked about how the issue of reparations can really sort of open up racial divides in this country. These divides are open, and we've been talking about race in a political context for quite some time now. And what is clear is that we are polarized. What is clear is that there is a lot of division on this. And the president's tweet over the weekend poured more salt on that wound. And you're seeing quite a few people from both parties now standing up and saying that's not okay. So maybe this is what the president wants. Maybe the president wants us divided. Maybe the president wants to lean into issues like these to draw a bigger wedge. Maybe he thinks this will mobilize his base. But look, to say that these people do not love America, he talked about American carnage in his inaugural address. He relentlessly attacked his predecessor, going so far as to question the legitimacy of his American citizenship.
Well, I mean, a lot of things get misinterpreted. I think that, the Carnage statement was about what was going on with drugs. It was about what was going on with violence.
But it was a criticism.
Martha, it wasn't well, I think it was a recognition of what was happening in some parts of the country.
That's fine, but it was a criticism of policies. That's what these women are doing. They're criticizing his policies. The president has a right to criticize. Why don't they?
All right, Karl?
Well, look, first of all, he was characterizing what he saw as our culture and our society. He was not criticizing specific policies. And look, everybody's hands are unclean in this. Think about the news conference today. Representative Presley went out there and opened up by saying that he is xenophobic and a racist. And she said, now let's not take the bait, and then proceeded to accuse him of deliberately traumatizing immigrant children along the border by putting them in cages. Remember, the squad plays the race card. They played the race card last week against Nancy Pelosi. They said that her criticism of them was based in race. So we've got our politics is broken, and this is the latest symptom of it. I wish everybody would sort of take a step back, and do things differently.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Good to see you both.